Picture this, a garden, first thing in the morning. The dew is still fresh. The air smells like wet earth and possibility. And then, right there, on the tomato plant that was perfect yesterday, holes. Dozens of them. The leaves look like lace. Something came in the night, and it ate everything it could reach. Now picture something else. That same garden, 1 week later. Same plants, same soil. But this time, not a single hole. Not one sticky trail. Not one shriveled leaf. The only thing that changed? A simple liquid, made from 3 ingredients sitting in the kitchen, for less than $1. This is not a fairy tale. This is not a marketing gimmick. This is real science, the kind that has been quietly practiced by farmers for generations, long before the first bottle of commercial pesticide ever hit a store shelf. And today, on Rooted in Grace, every single step of how this works is about to be laid out. Why it works, how to make it, and the one critical mistake that most gardeners make that ruins the whole thing. Stay right here. This one is worth every minute. 1. The invisible war in our gardens. Here is a question most people never stop to ask. What is actually happening out there, underneath the leaves, when nobody is watching? The answer is war. A quiet, invisible, relentless war. Right now, in backyards and raised beds all over the world, tiny armies are on the move. Aphids, barely visible to the naked eye, latch onto the soft undersides of stems and drink the sap straight out of the plant, the way a mosquito drinks blood. A single female aphid can produce 80 offspring in 1 week, and she does not even need a mate to do it. Spider mites spin webs so fine they are almost invisible, slowly suffocating the leaves they cover. Caterpillars chew through foliage like tiny, relentless machines. And every single night, while the gardener sleeps, these invaders multiply. Globally, just one species, the diamondback moth, causes an estimated $4 to $5 billion in crop damage every year. That is not a typo. Billions. From a moth most people have never even heard of. So what does the world do about it? For decades, the answer has been the same. Spray chemicals, stronger chemicals, more chemicals. And for a while, it works. The pests die. The garden looks clean. But here is what almost nobody talks about. The weakest insects die first. The strong ones survive. They breed, and their children inherit that strength. Within just a few generations, the same chemical that wiped out their grandparents does nothing to them at all. Scientists call this pesticide resistance. Farmers call it a nightmare. And it gets worse. Those chemicals do not just kill the pests, they kill everything. The ladybugs that eat aphids by the hundreds, the bees that pollinate every third bite of food on the dinner table, the butterflies that make a summer garden feel alive. Spray enough poison and eventually the garden has no defenders left, just the pests, and they are stronger than ever.
There is a phrase that old-timers have been saying for a long time. The quick fix is the slow disaster. In gardens and in life, that has a way of being true more often than anyone would like. So, if chemicals are not the answer, what is? The answer has been sitting in the kitchen all along. 2. The secret ingredient. The miracle of garlic. If someone said that one of the most powerful natural pesticides on Earth was something used to season pasta sauce last Tuesday night, most people would laugh. But garlic, plain old Allium sativum, has been hiding a secret for thousands of years.
The ancient Egyptians fed garlic to their pyramid laborers to keep them strong and free from infection. Roman soldiers carried it into battle. Medieval healers used it during the plague. Across civilizations, across centuries, garlic has been revered as a protector of health, of strength, and of life itself. And it turns out, plants need that protection too. Here is the fascinating part. A whole, unbroken clove of garlic is almost odorless. Sitting on a countertop, it does nothing remarkable. But the moment that clove is crushed, the moment the cell walls break open, something extraordinary happens. An enzyme called alliinase meets a compound called allicin, and together, in a rapid chemical reaction, they create allicin, a volatile sulfur-based molecule that is one of nature's most potent defensive weapons. Allicin is antimicrobial, antibacterial, and for insects, it is devastating. When allicin hits the air around a plant, it overwhelms the finely tuned sense of smell that pests rely on to find their food. The plant, quite literally, becomes invisible. The aphids cannot find it. The moths cannot locate it. The scent trail that led them to the garden in the first place is completely scrambled. But allicin does not stop at camouflage. For insects that do land on a treated plant, it acts as a direct irritant, disrupting their metabolism, destroying their appetite, and making the surface of every leaf feel hostile and unbearable. And here is the detail that changes everything for anyone worried about safety. Allicin is toxic to most destructive insects, but completely harmless to humans and pets. The garlic that seasons dinner is the same garlic that protects the garden.
Nothing synthetic, nothing dangerous, just nature, doing what nature has always done. There is something quietly beautiful about that. The most powerful thing inside a clove of garlic does not even exist until the garlic is crushed.
Three, the spicy catalyst, adding the fire. Garlic alone is a formidable weapon, but what if there was a way to take it from strong to unstoppable? There is, and it is sitting right next to the garlic in the pantry. Hot chili peppers, capsicum frutescens, the same little red firecrackers that make salsa burn and curry sting. Try something sometime. Slice a fresh chili pepper in half and place it near a line of ants. Count to 10. They will scatter, not walk away, scatter, like someone set off an alarm. The compound responsible is called capsaicin. It is the molecule that gives hot peppers their fire. Humans have learned to enjoy it. For an insect, it is a nightmare that does not end. Research has shown that capsaicin locks onto specific pain receptors in an insect's nervous system, receptors called TRPV1 channels. To the insect, what hits them is not a flavor. It is not a mild discomfort. It is the sensation of being on fire. Real, unbearable, all-consuming fire. The insect stops eating immediately. It abandons the leaf, the stem, the flower. It flees. And in higher concentrations, capsaicin does not just repel, it damages their cell membranes, causing paralysis and death. All of this without leaving a single drop of toxic residue on the vegetables. When garlic and chili come together in a single spray, something special happens. The garlic provides the invisible shield, masking the garden, scrambling the scent trails, making every plant a ghost. The chili provides the fire, punishing anything bold enough to land anyway. One defends, the other attacks, and together they create a defense system that most pests simply cannot overcome.
4.
The $1 recipe, 2 versions, 1 powerful result. Now comes the part everyone has been waiting for, the actual recipe. And it is almost embarrassingly simple. There are 2 versions here, a basic formula and an advanced one. Both work. The advanced version simply adds an extra layer of protection that science has validated at the highest levels. Version A, the classic garlic chili spray. 2 to 3 full heads of fresh garlic, that is roughly 20 to 25 cloves. 5 to 10 fresh hot red chili peppers. Jalapenos, serranos, or Thai chilies work beautifully. Use red ones whenever possible. Fully ripe red chilies contain significantly more capsaicin than green ones. 1 quart of water, about 4 cups, and 1 teaspoon of mild liquid soap, pure Castile soap or a gentle dish soap. Version B, the advanced Neem boost. Everything from version A plus 2 teaspoons of cold-pressed neem oil. Why neem? Because neem oil contains a compound called azadirachtin, which disrupts the growth cycle and reproductive system of insects. It does not just repel or kill the pests that are there now, it prevents the next generation from ever hatching. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, has officially recognized neem oil as an effective and safe organic pesticide. That is not folklore, that is federal-level science. The process. First, put on gloves. Capsaicin and eyes are a combination nobody wants to experience firsthand. Take the garlic cloves and the chili peppers. Leave the seeds and the inner white ribs of the chilies intact. This is where 80% of the capsaicin lives. Chop everything roughly, then blend it or crush it thoroughly with a mortar and pestle. The goal is to break every cell wall, releasing as much allicin and capsaicin as possible. Place the crushed mixture into a glass jar. A mason jar works perfectly, and pour the water over it. Now, here's a tip that most recipes leave out. Use distilled water or collected rainwater, if at all possible. The chlorine, calcium, and hard minerals in regular tap water can bind to capsaicin molecules and reduce their potency. This one small step can make the difference between a spray that works and a spray that barely does anything. Seal the jar and let it steep in a dark, cool cupboard for 24 to 48 hours. This resting period allows the water to extract every last drop of those volatile oils. After steeping, strain the liquid through a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth into the spray bottle. Squeeze the pulp. There is still good medicine in there. Add the teaspoon of liquid soap and the neem oil, if using version B, and swirl gently. The soap is not optional. Here is why. Garlic oil, chili oil, and neem oil do not naturally mix with water. They separate. The soap acts as an emulsifier. Its molecules grab onto both the oil and the water, binding them together into a uniform solution. Even more importantly, the soap breaks the surface tension of the liquid, allowing it to cling to the waxy surface of leaves and directly coat the bodies of insects, instead of just beating up and rolling off. Without the soap, half the spray ends up on the ground. With it, every drop sticks where it matters. 5. How and when to spray. The mistake that ruins everything. This right here is the part that separates the gardeners who swear this recipe is a miracle from the gardeners who say it does not work. And it comes down to one word: timing. This spray contains natural oils and potent plant compounds. If it is applied in the middle of the day, when the sun is high and the temperature climbs above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, those oils will intensify the sun's heat on the leaf surface. The capsaicin reacts with the plant's chlorophyll, and instead of protecting the leaves, the spray burns them. Scientists call this phytotoxicity. Gardeners call it heartbreak. This is the #1 mistake. People make a perfect batch, rush outside at noon on a hot day, spray everything, and wake up the next morning to scorched, wilting plants. Then they blame the recipe. The recipe was fine. The timing was wrong. Here are the 3 rules that make all the difference. Rule 1. Spray early or spray late. The best windows are between 6 and 9 in the morning, or in the soft light of evening after the sun begins to set. Cool air, gentle light, no damage. Rule 2. Spray the undersides. This is where 70% of pests, aphids, whiteflies, spider mites, hide, feed, and lay their eggs. Spraying only the tops of the leaves is like locking the front door, but leaving the back door wide open. Lift the foliage, get underneath. That is where the battle is won. Rule 3. Repeat every 4 to 5 days, or after rain. This is not a synthetic chemical that bonds to the leaf permanently. It is a natural treatment. Rain washes it away. Time breaks it down. Consistency is what makes it work. Apply until the liquid just begins to drip off the leaves. Thorough, but not flooding. 3 simple rules. Follow them, and the results will speak for themselves.
6. What to expect. Honest results. Now, before talking about the victories, let's be honest about the limitations. Because trust is built on truth, not on hype. This spray works by penetrating soft tissue and overwhelming the nervous system of small, soft-bodied insects. That means there are some creatures it simply cannot touch. Hard-shelled adult beetles, like Japanese beetles, have a thick, armor-like exoskeleton called chitin. Capsaicin cannot get through it. They will sit right there on the leaf and shrug. Slugs and snails produce a thick layer of mucus that acts as a chemical barrier. The spray slides right off. And internal feeders, like leaf miners and weevils, burrow deep inside the stems and fruit. A surface spray simply cannot reach them. Those are the limits, and knowing them up front is what separates a frustrated gardener from an effective one. Now, here is what this spray does do. The morning after a proper application, the soft-bodied invaders, the aphids, the mealybugs, the spider mites, the young caterpillars, are either gone entirely, repelled by the garlic's scent barrier, or dead on the leaves, their nervous systems overwhelmed by the capsaicin. Studies have documented that a properly formulated garlic and chili spray can reduce aphid colonies by up to 78%. Diamondback moth populations and flea beetles drop dramatically. And here is the part that makes all of this worth celebrating. When applied correctly, meaning it is not sprayed directly into open flower blossoms, this treatment is safe for the garden's most important allies. The honeybees continue their work. The ladybugs keep eating the aphids that escaped. The butterflies keep visiting. A synthetic chemical pesticide kills everything it touches, pest and friend alike. This spray targets the invaders and leaves the allies standing. That is the difference between a weapon and a strategy. 7. Why this knowledge matters more than ever. There is a reason this kind of knowledge does not get the attention it deserves. The global pesticide industry is worth well over $60 billion a year. It is an enormous machine, built on a very specific business model. Sell a product that creates dependency. Spray a chemical that kills pests, but also kills the beneficial predators that naturally keep those pests in check. Degrade the soil's natural immunity. And when the pest problem comes back worse next season, as it always does, sell another bottle, and another, and another. It is a cycle, and it is enormously profitable. A homemade spray made from kitchen ingredients for less than $1 does not fit that model. Nobody can patent garlic. Nobody can put a trademark on a chili pepper. There is no recurring subscription for a jar of crushed cloves. And that is exactly why this matters. Not as a conspiracy, not as outrage, simply as a fact. When the solution is free and the problem is profitable, the solution does not get advertised, but it does get shared. From gardener to gardener, from neighbor to neighbor, from one generation to the next. The way good knowledge has always traveled. There is a garden out there right now. Maybe a backyard plot. Maybe a few pots on a balcony. Maybe a wide open space filled with rows of beans and tomatoes that is waiting for this. A few cloves of garlic, a handful of chilies, a little soap, maybe some neem oil. 24 hours of patience. And a quiet evening to walk outside and spray. That is all it takes. No harsh chemicals, no expensive products, no harm to the bees, the butterflies, or the soil that makes everything grow. Just the earth's own ingredients, used the way they were always meant to be used. If this felt useful today, share it with someone who grows things. Share it with a neighbor, a friend, a family member who has been fighting the same battle with the same pests every season. This kind of knowledge works best when it travels. Subscribe to Rooted in Grace for more honest, practical wisdom for the garden and for life. Until next time, keep those hands in the dirt, keep learning, and always stay rooted in grace.